Hi there, Bob Gager from Adobe here with another installment of Ask Bob, where I get to answer questions from Photoshop Elements fans. Today's question comes from Amanda, and Amanda would like to know how to create the multiplicity effect. What is the multiplicity effect, you might ask? Well, it's an image like this, where we've got a shot, and we've got the same person in that single shot a whole bunch of times. We've actually multiplied that person in many different poses. Doing this is possible in Photoshop Elements, of course, and I'm going to show you how. Of course, the first thing you need to do is have a series of photos in the same location with the same person in different poses. So Amanda was nice enough to send me the 6 original photos, and I'm just going to walk through them real quickly, where she stood in the same kitchen doing different things. So there's a shot like that. There's a shot like that where she's mixing some stuff up in the mixer. Got the pie crust there ready to go, putting the pie in the oven, and finally enjoying a piece of pie with her daughter. So that's the multiplicity effect. We're going to take all of those images, blend them together to get a shot like this. So the first thing we want to do is open up all of the original images in the Photoshop Elements editor. So I've got them all here in the organizer. I'm just going to click on the first one to select it. You can see that little blue check mark means it's selected. I'm going to hold my Shift key down and then click on the 6th one. And what that is going to do is select all 6 images. And then down here in the bottom in the action bar where we have our editor icon, right down here, I'm just going to click on editor and the Photoshop Elements organizer will automatically open up all of those files in the Photoshop Elements editor. Okay, we've got all the files open in the editor now. I'm going to show my photo bin. So down here in the action bar of the editor, there's a bunch of icons. The one all the way on the left is the photo bin. If I click on photo bin, it's going to show me my photo bin, which shows me all of my open files. And I can double click on any of them and you can see I can switch to that file. So I can very quickly go from one file to the next, see all the files that I've got open. And I'm going to start here with the first one where Amanda's kind of standing all the way back in the kitchen here because we're going to have that image be our background. So I'm going to select it here in my photo bin. You can see it's selected because it's got that blue rectangle around it. And I'm going to hold my control key down and click on the second image. And that'll be selected but not shown. And I know that because of the white rectangle around it. With these 2 images selected, I want to come up to my menu. So all the way up on the top in my Enhance menu is a group of features that we call Photomerge. And within the Photomerge family is something we call Photomerge Compose. Now Photomerge Compose is a new feature that we added in Photoshop Elements 13 that's going to help us create this multiplicity effect. So I'll just select Photomerge Compose. It will automatically open up the Photomerge Compose workflow with the 2 images that I had selected. And the way Photomerge works is it's sort of a guided walkthrough of how to extract something from one photo and place it into another. So step 1 is described over here on the right. All I need to do is drag the image that I want to extract something from up into what we call the canvas area of Photoshop Elements. And then I just follow the instructions. Step 2 is to choose one of the selection tools and drag over the area of my photo that I'd like to select. Well, in this photo, I want to extract Amanda cracking the egg into the bowl. I'm going to just use the quick selection tool because it works really good and it's quick. So I just click on quick select. I come over here and just drag over top of whatever is in my photo that I want to extract. And you can see as I drag, Photoshop Elements will automatically find the edges of what I'm dragging over and do a quick selection for me. So I can drag around Amanda's hands, the eggs, the bowl, a little bit of the counter. Maybe I'll get a little bit more. I don't have to be perfect because I can always change things later, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. If I select too much, so you can see maybe I've selected this green carpet she's standing on and I don't want that. If I hold my Alt or Option key down and drag, then it'll actually erase from my selection. So between holding the Alt key down or not, I want to bring her toes back in, I can pretty quickly fine tune my selection to get it just exactly as I want it. And once I've got it pretty close, I just come over here on the bottom right and click Next. And then what Photoshop Elements is going to do is extract that part of my first image that I had selected and paste it into my second image. So you can see here it's pasted Amanda cracking the egg into the bowl on top of that kind of background image where she's reaching up into the closet grabbing the flower or whatever that is. Now at this step of Photomerge Compose, I can do some fine tuning. I can move whatever I had pasted in around. So if I hadn't taken my shots on a tripod and they weren't lined up quite perfectly, I can do some movement to get things to line up. I can also resize, rotate, whatever I need to do to get that pasted object to match the background that it's been pasted onto. What I can also do is fine tune that selection that I had made using these hide and reveal brushes. So if I want to hide something, maybe I had selected too much. So if for whatever reason we don't want to see the egg falling down, I just click on hide. I've got a size slider that will help me control the size of my brush. So I can either use the slider to make it bigger or smaller, or the shortcut is actually the left bracket and right bracket keys. It's probably one of the first shortcuts you want to learn in Photoshop Elements to resize your brush. So I can click the right bracket key to make it bigger, the left bracket key on my keyboard to make it smaller. And if I've got hide selected, if I just paint over something, it will hide that and reveal the image that's underneath. So I can fine tune using hide and reveal. Reveal does what you would expect. If I paint anywhere, it will actually reveal part of the image that I'm painting over. So I can pick and choose whether I want this Amanda in the front or if I want the Amanda in the background and fine tune my selection just perfectly. So I get that kind of like I want. Actually, what I want to do, since this background image is pretty bright, I want to use the foreground image for all of this stuff on the left. So I'm actually just going to make my brush pretty big. I'm going to make sure I have reveal chosen over here on the right and just kind of paint all of this area because that's actually a little bit darker and it matches that stuff over on the right a little bit better. So I can blend two images together pretty easily using this hide and reveal. Okay, so once I get it as I want it, I just hit next. Now Photomerge Compose is a feature that's designed to help you extract something from one photo and place it in another. And as part of that, we have this feature called Auto Match Color Tone. I'm actually going to skip this feature right now because we're not just going to merge 2 photos together, we're going to be merging 6 photos together. And I don't want to do any color tonal matching until I've got them all merged together, and then I can see exactly what needs to be done. So I'm not going to do anything on step 4. I'm just going to click Done down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And Photoshop Elements will finalize the merging process. It's created a brand new file for me. In this case, it's called Untitled 31. But I've still got the original file. So I've still got that original background. I've still got that original shot of Amanda cracking the egg into the bowl. Now I don't need this shot anymore, so I'm going to help keep things clean. I'm just going to come up to this little X up here, click on that little X, and that is going to close that image and help clean up my workspace a little bit. So at this point, I just need to do the same thing. So I want to take this image and I want to blend it again back onto my background. So I select both of them with my Control key held down. Again, just back to Enhance, back to Photomerge Compose, and repeat the process. So I drag up this photo. I get my quick selection tool. I just drag over Amanda to select her. In this case, I want to select all the way down to her feet. And I want to select her arms and I want to select the blender, kind of that area. Again, since we have that hide and reveal in step 2, we don't really need to be perfect in what we're doing because we can always fine tune things later. So I'm going to select this piece of Amanda. Actually, I want kind of some of that, maybe not all of the wall. I'll hold my Option key down to undo my selection, maybe something like that. And then just hit next and done. Okay, so now we've got 2 files. We've got this file that has the background and the egg cracking Amanda, and now we've got this file that has the background and the blending Amanda. I can go back to image 3, the blending Amanda, close that to help keep things clean, and repeat the process again. So basically, I just need to take each of these extra images, extract Amanda from it, and merge her into that background image. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me do all this image by image. I'm actually going to use some magic of Premiere Elements, the video editing companion application for Photoshop Elements, to speed up time. So you can see things are moving pretty quickly. I'm actually not that fast of an editor, but I've used the magic of a feature called Time Warp to actually speed things up. Okay, there you go. We're all done. We've got our 5 images, each one pasted on top of the background. And we actually don't need our background image anymore, so I'm going to select that one and close it as well, because we just want to work with the 5 images that we have. So with now those 5 images, let me cycle through them real quickly. So we've got image 1 where Amanda's cracking the egg on top of the background, image 2 where she's doing some blending, image 3 where she's fine-tuning the pie crust, image 4 the pie is going in the oven, and then image 5 she's enjoying the pie with her daughter. In the Photoshop Elements editor, down here again in the action bar, we have an icon called Layout. Go ahead and click on Layout and pick All Grid. And what Elements will do is arrange all of my photos up here in the canvas area so that I can see them all at the same time. Now I want to zoom out on each of them, so I'm going to pick my zoom tool and I'm going to hold the Option key down and zoom out so that it all fits. So just a couple clicks on each one will get each of them to zoom out so I can see the entire image. Something like that. And now what I want to do is blend these together. So I'm going to start with this one down here because that is the first one that I want to paste on top of this one up here. So I'm going to use my Move tool over here on the left. The Move tool is that one with all the arrows. Just click on the Move tool. Click on the image that I want to pull something out of. So I'm going to click on this image, and you can see over here on the right what that Photomerge Compose feature did for us is actually created a layer. So the Amanda who is mixing things up in the mixer, she didn't actually get blended into the background image. She got pasted on top in something called a layer, and a layer mask was created. Now, if you've never worked with layers before, they're a really interesting feature. They unlock a lot of power in Photoshop Elements. So it's a good thing to start to understand, but basically think of them as just photos stacked on top of each other. And then I can choose to hide or show parts of the photo by painting on this little thumbnail here, which is called the layer mask. What I can also do is have a bunch of these in a single photo. So I actually want to move this layer from all of these other 4 images into image 1. And that's as simple as dragging and dropping. So I can click on this document here. I can click on the layer that was created by my Photomerge Compose feature and just drag and drop it onto that image there. Now, wherever I drop it, it'll be placed. I can move it around. So I really want to kind of get things to line up where they should be. Something like that. Maybe a little lower would be good. There we go. So we've put the blending Amanda on top of the other egg cracking and flower reaching Amanda all in the same image. So I don't need this image anymore. I can close that. And I don't need to save it because I've copied blending Amanda into my master document, if you will. And let's see, which one do I want to do next? I probably want to do the pie crust forming one because that's kind of what comes next in the whole process. Again, just over here on the top right where I have my layer that Photomerge Compose created for me, drag and drop it onto my master document and it'll get pasted in there. And again, just move it where I want it. I want that in the bottom left corner. I don't need this image anymore or this file anymore, so I'm going to close that and don't save. Now let's grab the shot of Amanda putting the pie in the oven. Again, just click on it to select it. Over in my layers panel, drag and drop that layer onto my master document and move it where it should be. And then finally, this last image. Oops, sorry, close that. Don't save that. Click on this one. One last drag and drop, and we should be good to go. Oh, I dropped it a little too low, so I just want to move it up. I can move it left to right. I can put it just exactly where I think it might be interesting. So maybe right about there. How about that? And then I can close this document, and I don't need to save it. So if I double click on my hand over here in the top left, the hand icon to move things around, if I just double click on that, you see it will automatically resize my image to fit my screen. And we've got the start of our multiplicity image. Now there's some fine tuning that I want to do. You can see maybe here where we've got pie putting in the oven, Amanda. I didn't do a really good selection. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that. So when I was in that Photomerge tool, I kind of was going a little bit too fast, and so I didn't get a perfect selection around her face. And I got some of the brighter background from that image, and it really stands out when you put it in front of the darker background from this image. So the way I fix that is I click on my Move tool, click on this version of Amanda, and over here on the right, that layer will automatically get selected. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these layer masks, this is a lot of the magic of this feature and how to accomplish this effect. If I click on the layer mask to select it, when I paint over here, even though I can't see the layer mask, as long as that layer mask is selected and I'm painting over here, I'm actually painting on the layer mask. I'm not painting on the image itself. And the way layer masks work, if I paint with black, the image is hidden wherever I paint with black. And if I paint with white, the image is shown. So you can see there's a little silhouette here of Amanda in white because that's what's showing through on this layer. So I can use that to my advantage. If I come over here in my color palette, if I click on this little tiny icon here, it will actually set black and white with white as my foreground color, black as my background color. And then I'm going to grab my brush right here and do some fine tuning. And so if I paint with white, more of that layer shows. If I switch from white as my foreground color to black as my foreground color, and I paint with black on my layer mask, I am able to hide some of that. If I make a mistake and kind of, oops, I obliterated Amanda's face, it's not at all what I wanted to do. All I have to do is switch back from black as my foreground color to white as my foreground color, paint on my layer mask, and I can bring her right back. So it's a great non-destructive way of selectively hiding and showing parts of your image. So I'm going to make my brush a little smaller. Again, I can use the brush slider down here in my tool options, or I can just use that left and right bracket key as a shortcut. So I'm going to come in, oops, I need to be painting with black. I'm going to come in and paint with black and a kind of soft brush right around the edge to really fine tune exactly where I had made that selection kind of incorrectly earlier. So by painting with black on my layer mask, remember, I'm hiding that part of this layer. So I can make my brush really small and get right around her eyelashes here. Take my time, be as much of a perfectionist as I want to get this thing looking really good. There we go, something like that. So I want to fine tune down along her arm a little bit here as well. I'm going to go kind of fast. Hopefully you get the idea of the technique, and I won't bore you with all the details of making this image absolutely perfect. The whole idea here is to help you figure out how to do it so you can do it yourself. So a little bit of fine tuning around her arms where I had that bad selection. Again, by painting with either white or black with my layer mask selected. All right, quick double click on my hand. You can see that looks much better than it did before. The next thing I might want to fine tune is kind of this area right here, where when we had the image of Amanda blending, the background was darker, the exposure didn't precisely match when the images were taken. We've also got the blender in the up position in our background shot and in the down position in our blending shot, which is of course how you blend with a blender. So the way we do that, again, I'm going to get my Move tool. I'm going to click on this version of Amanda, which is going to automatically select that layer where she's doing some blending. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with my layer mask. I'm going to click on the layer mask, and I'm going to paint with white kind of here around the top of the blender so that the blender that's in the background is hidden and the blender that's in the foreground is shown. Now you can see the wall is actually a little bit darker in that image. If I hide that layer, you can see it goes away, right? The wall was darker there, so I've got some exposure compensation to deal with. And a couple ways to do that. The first thing that I would do is with my layer mask selected, click on either white or black to hide and show, and this opacity slider for my brush, I'll turn that way down and I'll make my brush a little bit bigger. And then I can actually kind of do some blending. So when I click to do the painting, it doesn't do 100% painting in. It does a little bit of blending. And so with that technique, I can kind of blend the two colors together. So it's not such a stark contrast shifting from one to the other. Once I get that looking kind of good, I can even do some fine tuning of the exposure of just this layer. So with this layer selected, I can come up here to what's called our adjustment layer icon. Click on that to create a new adjustment layer, and I'm going to just simply pick brightness contrast. And that's going to create an adjustment layer, and I want this adjustment layer to only apply to the layer that's right below it. And the way I do that is with this little icon right here, or actually this little checkbox. I'm going to check that checkbox so that it is only applied to the layer below it. And now you can see as I adjust things like the brightness control, it's only going to change the layer that has the Amanda doing the blending. And so I can fine tune the brightness of just that layer to get it to kind of match the others. There you go, that's looking pretty good. I can just close this window. So a real simple technique, a adjustment layer, and I'm going to clip it to the layer below it so it only affects the layer below it. And so there you go. We've been able to blend 6 different photos together to create the multiplicity effect. We've been able to fine tune them using this concept of layers and layer masks to get them to look really good. And then we've done some fine tuning of some exposure problems in just one of the layers. So hopefully that helps you understand how to achieve this effect, Amanda, and enjoy using Photoshop Elements. Thanks.